Hi everybody, welcome to story time. Today we are going to be reading Georgia. My name is Georgia. Georgia is a very famous artist and she's one of my heroes. And she's so much one of my heroes that I named my youngest daughter after her, Georgia. This is actually my daughter Georgia's book that I'm going to read to you. And this is the story of how she became an artist. Georgia O'Keeffe was born on a farm in Wisconsin in 1887. There she is, little baby Georgia. When I was 12 years old, I knew what I wanted, to be an artist. I've always known what I wanted. When I was small, I played alone for hours and hours and hours. I was satisfied to be all by myself. That's a lot like what we're doing right now. A lot of us are spending a lot more time than usual alone. But Georgia liked that. Look what she would do. She would play with her dollhouse, and there's a little bird there on the big farm. I did things other people don't do. When my sisters wore sashes, I didn't. When my sisters wore stockings, I wore none. Look at Georgia. She's going barefoot. She likes going barefoot, and all her 4 sisters are wearing colorful sashes, but not Georgia. And when my sisters wore braids, I let my hair, my black hair, fly. Look at her. Look at all the sisters are braiding each other's hair. Georgia likes to do things differently. I rode to town every Saturday to copy pictures from the stack in the art teacher's cupboard. There she is, riding to town. At home, I looked out my window and drew pictures of what I saw. What would you guys draw if you looked out your window? Maybe you could do some drawings of things you see out your window and post them at the bottom. That would be really fun to see. Maybe I could make something beautiful. At school in Chicago, I drew from statues in the museum. That's a fun idea. And in school in New York, I painted 1 still life painting a day, every day. At school, I painted my teacher's ideas. 1 still life painting a day. Do you know what a still life is? It's when you put some objects together and you paint them, like some fruit or flowers or plants or anything you find in your house, and you make them into a nice arrangement and then you paint or draw them. That's called a still life. But when school days were over, I went out into the wild world to discover my own ideas. There she goes, off into the wild world. I went to the Texas plains, the wild west of my childhood books, and you have never seen sky. It is wonderful. She likes big open spaces. Look at her. She's loving the big sky on the prairies of Texas. I walked into the sunset, and I felt the wind across the plains. Look how the artist drew the wind. It's like swooshing. And I painted the sunset and the sky and the wonderful loneliness and emptiness in the place. I painted day and night. I worked till my head all felt light in the top. I have things in my head that are not like what anyone has taught me. Shapes and ideas. So she is trying out her new shapes and ideas. Look, she's making like swirly marks like the wind. Georgia O'Keeffe loved big shapes. But I bundled up my paintings and went to New York City to be where other artists live. There she goes, off to New York City to find out about how to live as an artist, I guess. I walked down in the canyons of steel, the big, huge skyscrapers in the city. They're kind of blocking out her beloved sky, aren't they? I lived high up in the clouds and painted what I saw from my window. So now I bet she sees different things from her window than when she was painting from her farm window. But sometimes what I saw from my window was the far away calling me. I painted a garden in the city. I wanted everyone to see flowers the way I saw them. I looked closely at the flowers. She liked to look at things right up close and see the big shapes of everything. I painted a camellia. I painted it so big that people would notice. Look how big she painted that flower. She liked to paint flowers really huge, so you felt like you were almost inside the flower when you looked at it. I painted a Jack in the Pulpit. I painted it big so people would see. Look at that. She wants you to see the shapes right up close. No one had done that before Georgia O'Keeffe. I painted poppies and petunias and sunflowers and jimson weeds and irises and apple blossoms. My garden bloomed until everyone saw the flowers the way I saw them. Big and beautiful and bold and full of great shapes and lines. But still, I look to the sky. The distance has always been calling me. I went to the New Mexico desert, so far away that no one ever comes. I was satisfied to be all by myself. Look, she's in her big open space again, this time in the desert. It was too dry for the flowers to grow, but there were bones. In the desert, there's lots of bones that get bleached by the sun and turn very, very white because it's so hot out there. I gathered the bones, big bones, little bones, short bones, long bones, a cow's skull, a horse's skull, a ram's skull, and brought the bones home to paint. There she is, gathering the bones. One day, I held one up against the sky and saw the blue through that hole. I painted what I saw. So she started seeing the shapes inside the bones. And then she started painting those shapes. I saw the sky and the red hills. I walked in the hills at daybreak and twilight, at noon and in starlight. There she is, walking in the hills. I painted the arms of two red hills, reaching out to the sky and holding it. That's an interesting way to make a painting. She paints the two arms of the red hills holding up the sky. I painted the Pedernal Mountain in the far away. I painted it over and over and over again, and then again and again. She painted this mountain, the one way back there, so many times. She loved that mountain. She painted it and painted it. And she said, God told me if I painted that mountain enough, he'd give it to me. Look at all her paintings of that special mountain. She really loved that mountain. I think she could see it from her house. I drove my Model A across the desert and back, and up and down and over the hills. I painted in my studio on wheels until the afternoon bees chased me home. She'd take her car out and she'd go painting all by herself in the desert. She was a very brave, brave person. Even in winter, I went far out into the far away and painted in the bitter cold. Nothing can stop her from painting. I painted when the wind was so strong it nearly blew me away. I did things other people don't do. I climbed my ladder to the night sky to wait for the sun. I slept under the stars to see the morning sky when I woke. I stayed in the desert. My hair turned from black to gray, to white as the bones. I still walked the red hills. Look, now she's getting older, but she's still walking the hills and making her paintings. My pile of bones grew. My flowers bloomed in the desert, and the Pedernal was mine. Look, now she's standing on top of that mountain that she loves so much. Oops, over there. And the sky. Oh, it was still wonderful. I painted the sky one more time. I painted my sky big so people would see the sky the way I did. I worked from dawn to dusk every day for weeks and months. Now, Georgia's very old by now, but she's making one of the biggest paintings she ever made of the sky. Then as I painted the last cloud, the sun slipped down behind the Pedernal. I laid my brushes down. Kiss the sky for me. Look how big that painting is. That was the last painting she made, and it was super huge. Georgia O'Keeffe lived to be 98 years old. In museums all across the land, people see her flowers, deserts, hills, cities, and skies the way she did. And that's the story of Georgia O'Keeffe. I'm going to show you a couple pictures of some of her real paintings because they're fantastic. Here's a picture of Georgia in real life. That's what she looked like. And then, so she's really well known for her big paintings of flowers that look like this. See up close how they're mostly just shapes, but they're the insides of flowers, or very big flowers that fill the whole space. But my favorite paintings of Georgia are, oh, here's another one. She's really famous for her poppies. There's one of her big poppy paintings that she did. But Georgia also said, I wish people were all trees, and I think I could enjoy them then. I sometimes wish people were trees too. This is Georgia with one of her trees. I think she liked trees more than people. So I love her tree paintings, which you don't see that often. This is of leaves up close that she did, a really big one of leaves. And then here's one of a tree with a cut limb, it's called. See, she just takes the big bold shapes. You could make drawings like that. Here's another one with just the big bold shape of the tree and then the little full moon in the background. See that? And here, I love this one. This one's like when you go walking in the forest in the fall and it's all yellow and it feels like the forest has light on in it. Well, there's night. Whoops. Sorry, guys. This is hard to do because it's mirror image. This one. I'm going to get it. Yeah, there. Look, at almost the whole painting is yellow. It's like that feeling of a tree in the fall. And here's two of my favorites of hers, of birch trees. Yeah, I'll have to show you them one at a time, I guess. Here's another big, beautiful yellow one. And those are some of George's trees. Maybe you guys could make some trees like that and then post them on the page. It would be really fun to see them. And here's one last one. Thanks for listening to Storytime. Bye for now.